Hey, what's up, good people? Welcome back to another episode of Mono to Atmos. And today, as normal, we are going to be doing microphone reviews. But today, it's going to come with that slightly different twist because, in as much as yes, we're going to be doing microphone reviews, we're also going to be having a topic that we're discussing as we're testing this microphone. So, whether you love microphones or you just love to talk, you are welcome to this place. Today, we'll be talking about small diaphragm condenser microphones. And small diaphragm condenser microphones are a different breed of microphones. They are good microphones because of how they are created, how they are built. The other thing about them is they're very versatile. You can use them on multiple sound sources. For instance, they're very good with vocals. And again, because of the small diaphragms, in fact, they're called small diaphragm microphones because of the size of their diaphragm. So anything under 1 inch is called a small diaphragm condenser microphone. And an example of a small diaphragm condenser microphone is this here. This is a diaphragm, and you can see it's a tiny one, and it's less than 1 inch. For that reason, we call this a small diaphragm condenser microphone. And again, they are condensers, so they use capacitance to generate electrical signals, where mechanical signals, which are vibrations, get to the diaphragm. And because this diaphragm has a charge, when it vibrates, it creates an electrical signal that becomes our new sound signals. The other thing maybe we need to learn about small diaphragm condenser microphones is they're also called pencil condensers or pencil microphones, pencil condenser microphones. And they actually get their name because of the way they are tiny. They are small shape. They almost want to resemble a pencil. So these are microphones that I don't expect if you're a producer or if you work in the sound environment you should be missing, because first of all, maybe we just go through their pros, their cons. They're very sensitive. And why are they sensitive? It's because of their small condensers, or rather their small diaphragms. The reason why they are used in a manner that is versatile to record multiple things, especially where sensitivity is required, is because they have very good transient response. And transient response, this we're talking about the very fast vibrations. For instance, the pluck of a guitar sometimes can be very fast, and they're able to capture that because of their light size. The diaphragms, because they're small, they're actually light, so they're able to capture that aspect, what we call transients. They're also very good with instruments. They're also very good with vocals. So if you were to just ask me what you'd get, one microphone you'd get that would be able to sort you out vocally and would be able to sort you out in terms of instruments, I would say please be free and go for a small diaphragm microphone because of their versatility and the fact that they're also very sensitive, and they're also very rugged because they are created to work both in the studio and also outside the studio, because you could use this outside in the wild out there to record ambiances, and you could use them for many other things that you're going to look at. So today we're going to start with one of the microphones that I have here that is goes by the name the CAD E70. This is the CAD E70, and this is a $300 microphone. And maybe I just want to talk about a few things about it. And it has quite a number of knobs on the side, or things you can change, But I just want to talk about the frequency response of this microphone. So this microphone has a frequency response of 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz, and has a maximum SPL in the cardioid mode, because you can always change this this diaphragm or this capsule. You can always change it, and it starts from, so the maximum SPL is 135 dB. If you change it to the Omni, it'll give you 143 dB. This is the Omni capsule for the same microphone. So let's just quickly try and test it. So this is one of the accessories that comes with it. This you can always just put it to avoid plosives, because these microphones, small condenser microphones, are very sensitive, and especially to plosives. So always find a way to ensure that you're able to tame the plosive. And the other accessory you might want is a shock mount. So this is an example of a shock mount. So let's just quickly put a shock mount on this. and then have the plosive. So let's just quickly try it out. Hey, what's up, good people? So this is the CAD E70, and it's a pretty good microphone. Okay, it's suitable for recording instruments like acoustic guitars, strings, and percussions. The cardioid capsule is ideal for forecast sound sources, while the omnidirectional capsule captures ambience for room acoustic. So this is what the cardioid sounds like. Let's look at its side rejection. This is how the side rejection behaves, and this is how, when you put it straight in front of you, it will behave. When you put it on the side, this is what it behaves like. Now, one thing I need to mention about this microphone is that it has a very similar sound to the Sennheiser 416. So it's sometimes in blind tests, people are not able to tell the difference between this microphone and the 416. And so it's a pretty good mic. Now, today, I said, as we're talking about this, and these are microphones that you could use to do your content, I also want us to talk about something that I've had many people talk about out there, and I realized there's also a lot of miscommunication about the same, and that is how Africa got colonized, and specifically how Kenya got colonized. And just through these microphones, I want us to talk about these things so that you can hear the voice, my voice, how it sounds, and maybe make a decision whether you want to get some of these microphones or just be informed about microphones. Again, remember, we use this gear to capture history. We use this gear to tell stories, but ideally we should be using some of this gear to capture our history, something that we've not been doing for the longest time. So how are we actually colonized? So many people out there try to claim that we were colonized because of religion. And this happens a lot in TikTok. But you realize that if we were colonized because of religion, especially if the religious aspect was Christianity, the Bible actually expects us to be very truthful people. It expects us to be very open people. It expects us to be people who love, people who share, people who don't steal. But you realize Africa is full of thieves. Africa is full of corruption. Africa is full of people who just do things that are not in line with the scriptures. For that reason, it's a clear indication that our colonization was not primarily based on religion. But we are going to talk about how we got colonized. And we'll see exactly how we got colonized so that we're informed. And this is also backed up by history. So this is the sound of the E70, the CAD E70. I hope you like it. Let's go to the next microphone. So just to give you a palate cleanser, let's try a different microphone and just see what it sounds like. So the next microphone that we're going to look at is the Audio-Technica AT2021. Now, the Audio-Technica AT2021 is this microphone right here. This, you cannot interchange the capsules. Okay, it's a small, nice microphone. And let's just quickly put it through this and then see what it sounds like. I hope it is properly gain staged. If it's not, we'll just do that. So let's do that. So this is the Audio-Technica, and I'm gonna put a foam. So this foam is just to help me with the plosives. So the first thing you might understand about this microphone, it's quite sibilant. Okay, it is pretty sibilant, and the frequency response for this microphone is 30 hertz to 20 kilohertz, and that is perfect for any voice requirement or some instruments, because again, remember, the voice for the human being, especially male and female, they start from around 80 hertz all the way to 10 kilohertz. It's very hard to surpass that. So this microphone is pretty much able to capture your voice very well. If you listen to this on proper headphones, or just the studio monitors, you can tell that it's pretty sibilant. So this is the sound of the Audio-Technica AT2021. And one thing about this microphone is it has superb side rejection. Let's just quickly try that out. So this is the side rejection of this microphone, and if you can listen to it, you can tell that it's pretty awesome. And when I come back, you can tell it's pretty on point and it's quite crisp. And when I try to turn it again, so this is a microphone that you could use in so many environments. You could use it for your podcast. You could use it for what is it called? Your instruments, your guitars, your overheads. or your drum overheads, your piano. The cardioid pattern is just amazing in terms of how it picks up. It is a bit sibilant, which means you might need a de-esser on it. But remember again, in sound, we say it's better to cut than to boost. The rule usually is cut as much as possible as opposed to boosting. So yeah, this is a microphone that when you use, you could always have a de-esser on it, or just use your EQ to cut some of the high frequencies. Now, we were talking about the coming of the, how we got colonized. And the other thing I want us to just talk about really quickly is where did they come? Why did they come to colonize Africa? Okay, so it was for economic reasons, and the British actually saw Kenya as a source for raw materials. Okay, and they also needed land and settlement. So the British wanted land for farming and ranching. So that is one of the reasons why they actually came to Kenya and in extension Africa. And political expansion. Kenya was a strategic British colony for controlling East Africa. So the British wanted to control East Africa, and Kenya was quite strategic for that. And that is one of the reasons why the British came into our country way back between late 1800s to early 1900s. And they decided to sort of come and take over. But the idea here is I want us to talk about how we got colonized, because there's so many myths out there that are not actually supported by history, and even some of it is supported by very weak history. And hopefully here we are going to find out the truth on how we actually got colonized by the British, so that at least when you know the truth, it sets you free and you understand things for what they really are. Now you've had this microphone, let's go to the next microphone and see what it sounds like. Yeah, that was the sound of the Audio-Technica AT2021. It's a pretty decent microphone, small for the size, but packs a punch. Okay, and quickly, let's move to the next microphone. Now I have a PreSonus PS626. I think I got these microphones for about, was it $100? They actually come in stereo, so I got a stereo pair of these microphones. This is what they look like. And so it comes, the two of them. And the thing again about this is you can use them in a stereo recording environment. And maybe I need to talk about that a bit. And how you'd use them in a stereo recording environment is this: you'd have to acquire something like this, so that you're able to have a stereo configuration for these microphones. So you put this like that, you put this like this. So you have them either in this configuration, which is usually you want them crossing at 90 degrees. You want them to form a 90-degree path here where the diaphragms cross. So this would be a good stereo way of recording stereo sound. But also you could have a different way where you have them at an angle like this. Let me just quickly tighten this up. Again, these microphones are rugged. So you could also just record in this form factor in your stereo configuration. So let's quickly just look at, listen to the sound that comes out of the PreSonus PS626. I'm gonna need my pop filter. Okay, let's see. This is my pop filter. So now you're listening to the PreSonus, and this is what it sounds like. I don't know if you love the sound of this microphone. And the other thing maybe I need just to quickly mention about this microphone is that the frequency response for this microphone is 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz. Okay, it has a maximum SPL of 130 dB SPL, which is pretty decent. Okay, the self noise of this microphone is 18 dBA. I just want you to know that if you have a microphone that is 25 dBA or less, that is a good microphone. Anything above 25 dBA now, that is too much noise. That might be hard. The preamps might bring this noise up. So any microphone that you might have out there that is at least 25 dBA and below, that is good. But the moment your microphone is 30 dBA, 35 dBA, then there's a problem there, because now it means that that noise is just too much. The lower the sound, I mean the level of the self noise, the better. So you have microphones that can go all the way to 4 dBA, 5 dBA. Those are amazing microphones that have low noise on them. So as we talked about this, so we continue with our story about how the British came. So when these people came, this is quite plosive. It has a bit of plosive, so I'm going to just put it at an angle. The first thing that they tried to do is the British came and decided to acquire our lands. And how did they acquire our lands? When the British came, they decided to forcefully possess our lands, okay? So the British declared large areas of Kenya as crown land. So they came and looked at large chunks of land and they claimed this is crown land, this is government land. So this was land owned by government. The other thing that they did is they decided to do cheap purchases of land. Okay, the British government sold land to settlers at throwaway prices, leaving Kenyans landless. So they decided to sell some of these large chunks of land to the settlers that were coming in at throwaway prices. The other thing that they did when they got here is that they tricked people into signing treaties, especially communities. The Maasai were tricked into signing the 1911 Maasai Agreement, pushing them into the reserves. And we won't go into that. And the other thing that they did is they ensured that they brought something called taxes and forced labor. So this is how the Kenyan person was disenfranchised from their own land. So the land was taken away from them. Taxes were introduced, okay? And people were forced into reserves. And large chunks of land were declared crown land, and that means they were declared government land. Let's try the next microphone and just see what it sounds like. So the next microphone I'm going to test is an interesting microphone because if you've been listening to me, you'll know that I love AKG. So this is the AKG AC300B. We'll test both the CK91 capsule and we'll also test the CK93 capsule. So the CK91 capsule is the capsule that has the cardioid pattern. So this is it. This is a very versatile microphone because you'd find this in so many studios, or even rather live, not really live sound, but I would say you'd find them on the sets of a lot of filmmakers because they are good in recording, especially dialogue for interiors. They're pretty amazing, and you can always change this capsule. So this is the CK93 capsule. This is the preamplifier. So the capsule goes into the preamplifier, and then you just lock it. You can always change this to other capsules, and it's pretty decent here for what it does. So again, frequency response is 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz, and the maximum SPL for the CK93 is 120 dB. So it's not one of the best in terms of maximum SPL. It will not record the loudest sounds, but it is very versatile. Okay, and let's just quickly see what this sounds like. You'll find this in a lot of film sets. Okay, let's just check what this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this is the AKG CK93 capsule. And this is what it sounds like. You'll find this in a lot of film sets. It is used to capture a lot of dialogue indoors because it's able to reject reverb. And we're going to do a quick side test just to see how it rejects voice from the side, because again, it's a hypercardioid capsule, and hypercardioid pickup patterns are known to reject sounds well from the sides. So this is what it rejects. This is how it rejects sounds from the sides. I hope you can tell that it's doing quite a good job. So when you come back, this is how it picks my voice from the front. And one thing about these microphones is that they're very balanced for especially the voice, and they also have an interesting flat response with a noise floor of about 23 dBA. Remember, we said as long as your microphone can do at least 25 dBA and below, then you have a good microphone. The moment you have 25 dBA and above, then that noise might be a bit problematic because you might start hearing it, especially when you start gain staging it. As we were talking about the Mau Mau, now we want to talk about the Mau Mau and what happened once the settlers got here and they kicked people into the reserves, get people into forced labor. The Mau Mau was formed and they went into, that was between 1952 and 1960, they went into the forest to try and fight for freedom. Okay? Now, in the process of fighting for freedom, it meant that these were not white settler sympathizers. They were not working in any place. All they could do was look for ways to fight the settlers that had come in. Okay, and so they went to places like Mount Kenya, the Abadeas, and they tried to wage war from these specific places. So again, there were very harsh measures that would be put on them when they were found, like they would be detained in camps, execution, and a lot of execution was done during this time. So this brings me to the question, how were we truly colonized? And this is your answer now. We were colonized because of money, currency, dollar, chapa. That's the reason why we got colonized. Why? When the colonizers came, and they introduced, one of the things they introduced was called the hat tax and the poll tax. So the hat tax meant this: if you had a hat, you needed to pay tax to the government. And this tax, you could not pay it directly because it had to be paid in money. And you yourself could not pay this money, could not pay it directly to the government. You required a settler to pay for you this money. And remember, the people that were there back then did not have money. They only did barter trade. So it's only the white settlers that had the money. So for you to get that money, you needed to do something to the white settler. The other tax that was introduced is called the poll tax. And the poll tax meant every male who was of age needed to pay a tax for being alive. And for this reason, you're forced to go and work for a settler to get money so that they pay for you this tax. Failure to do this, then you'll be in trouble. So again, money is the reason that we got colonized. And anyone who controls money today controls the people. Remember, we also said that while the Mau Mau went into the forest to fight, there are other people that we call them the white sympathizers who continue to work, with the white people. These people were making some money over time, okay? So they would work with the white people, their taxes got paid, and they were white sympathizers. They were making some money on the side. But the Mau Mau who went into the forest could not come across money because they were fighting in the forest and they were not in cahoots with the white settlers. Let us go to the next microphone. This is going to be our last microphone. Yeah, so you've heard the sound of the AKG AC300B. I don't know if you like it, but this is a sound that maybe you've listened to some of your favorite movies. And let's try the other capsule, which is the CK91, which is this is the CK91. So again, you just put it like that and then put in your foam, and then you'll see this style of microphones in so many movies. Especially Western movies where they are miking indoors. You'll see this style of microphones when you look at the behind the scenes footage. And let me just quickly also just have my shock mount so that we avoid all the rumble, and let's listen to what it sounds like. Yo, so this is the CK91 capsule. Okay, this is the AKG Blue Line, and this is what it sounds like. These are good microphones that I use to capture interior dialogue, and it can be used on so many sound sources. So don't be afraid to get this kind of microphone to capture some of your sound sources. And this is what it sounds like on my voice. And I'm just going to finish up by saying this. During independence, when we got independence, something happened that made sure that all this white sympathizers succeeded, and everyone who fought the colonial government failed. And what was this that was done? It was declared that once the white man left and the large tracts of land that were left, it was to be given to people on a willing buyer, willing seller basis. What did this mean? It meant because the white settlers were going back home after independence, some of them decided to go back home. If you had the money to buy back your land, then you could buy it back. But if you did not have the money, then there was nothing you could do. But remember, money was only with the settlers, okay? So if you needed to buy land, it meant you had either worked with the settlers as a home guard or worked on their land, or one way worked with the white settlers, because that was the only way you could get money. But remember our Mau Mau friends, our heroes who were in the forest. They were fighting in the forest and they did not come across any money. When this was declared, it meant that the Mau Mau could not buy back their land. And for that reason, the Mau Mau to this very day, most of them are poor because they could not buy back their land. Most of them have failed in life because there was no way they had money to acquire anything back then. And the white sympathizers and the settlers that were left here, because they had money, they could buy large tracts of land. And that is how we got colonized. And to this very day, colonization continues because of the money, the mullah, the dough, the chapa. So if you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. But this brings us to the end of today's small diaphragm microphones. And one of the accessories maybe you might need, especially if you're going to use small diaphragm microphones outdoors, is something like this. Okay, it's a softie. It's a Rycote softie. Maybe I'm just going to put it here so that you hear what it sounds like. So let me just do some quick adjustments and put on the Rycote softie. But this is a very good wind protection. I think goes for around $200, if I'm not wrong, or $300. But it's, if you want to record things outside, beautiful for, wind protection and plosive. So let's just change again to the microphone and see what it sounds like. Hey, what's up, good people? So this is this AKG CK91. A C300 with the CK91 capsule on it, but this time I have the Rycote softie. I don't know, maybe it's killing some of the high frequencies, but you can tell, you be the judge, because again, this comes down to what you're experiencing and what you're hearing, okay? And this is what this sounds like, especially when you have the Rycote softie on it. It's a beautiful wind protection. If you want to go out there and record things, if you can afford it, get it. If you can't, again, just remember you can always get a dead cat and it'll do the same thing. But as we come to an end of this episode, I want you to remember one thing. Our colonization happened because of mullah. And for that reason, whoever controls that mullah still controls us to this very day. Until next time, my name is Lawrence. Cheers and see ya.